What if there was a tree that could speak to you? A tree that has witnessed centuries of secrets, suffering, and death, its roots tangled with the dark past of anyone who dares to approach. Would you listen or run? In a small, sleepy town nestled between forgotten hills, an ancient oak tree stood alone in the center of a long-forgotten cemetery. To the locals, it was known as the Whispering Oak. It had stood for over 300 years, its gnarled branches reaching skyward like the hands of the damned, stretching towards the heavens as if pleading for release. But the tree wasn't just old, it was something far more sinister. For generations, people had passed by the oak, never daring to get too close. Some said it was just a tree, a natural wonder. Others whispered about the strange, unsettling feeling that crept up when you neared it, how the air grew unnaturally still, how time seemed to slow, and how voices low, hushed whispers could be heard if you stood too close. The voices, however, weren't coming from anywhere in particular. They seemed to come from the tree itself. It was until the winter of 1921 that the town would learn the true horror of the Whispering Oak that year. A young historian named Thomas Weaver, fresh from university, came to the town to study its history. His fascination with the oak led him to seek out the tree's origins. What he uncovered would shake the very fabric of reality itself. The Whispering Oak had not always been an ordinary tree. In the early 1700s, the land had been home to a small, tight-knit community of settlers, many of whom had fled Europe in search of a new life. But what they didn't know was that their new land was already claimed not by a person, but by something far older and far more dangerous. In the dead of night, a group of settlers had performed an occult ritual beneath the very oak that still stood. They were desperate, afraid, and seeking power from the unseen forces that had long since been banished from their lives. What they summoned wasn't a demon or a ghost, but an entity, a spirit of the land, an ancient force older than the trees themselves. The ritual went horribly wrong, and the consequences were disastrous. The settlers disappeared, one by one, vanishing into the darkness of the surrounding forest, leaving behind nothing but their belongings and an unsettling silence. It is believed that they did not simply vanish, they were consumed, taken into the roots of the oak, their souls forever bound to its twisted branches. Thomas, drawn to the tree's mystery, visited the Whispering Oak on a cold November night, armed with nothing but his research and an overwhelming need to know the truth. He stood beneath its vast canopy, the wind biting at his skin, the whispers growing louder, clearer. At first it was nothing more than an indistinct murmur, like the rustling of leaves, but as Thomas stepped closer, the whispers became words. "Thomas, Weaver, come closer." He froze. The voice had called his name, but how? He hadn't told anyone where he was going, and he knew that no one in town had ever mentioned his name to the tree. His heart pounded in his chest as he hesitated, but the compulsion to answer, to hear more, was overwhelming. He took one step forward, then another. The whispers grew louder, and the air around him grew colder. He could feel the weight of the tree's presence pressing down on him, like an invisible hand gripping his chest. Suddenly, a single word rang out through the night. "Leave." Thomas jerked back, but it was too late. The ground beneath his feet seemed to shift. He stumbled, falling to his knees. The whispers turned into cries, anguished wails that filled his mind with unbearable pain. His body convulsed as his vision blurred, and for a moment he felt like he was being pulled into the earth itself. The last thing he heard was a whisper, barely audible, but undeniably clear. "You are one of us now." Thomas was never seen again. The next morning the townspeople found his belongings near the base of the Whispering Oak: his journal, his pen, and the remnants of his lantern. But Thomas had disappeared without a trace. No body, no footprints. Only the whispers, growing louder as if the tree was waiting for someone else to come closer. To this day, people who wander too near the Whispering Oak report, hearing their names, feeling cold hands brush their skin, and even seeing figures in the corner of their eyes, faint outlines, shadows of people long gone trapped within the tree. They say if you listen long enough, the oak will whisper your name too, and once it does, there's no going back. Some say the tree is a portal, a doorway to another realm. Others believe it's the lingering remnants of the souls of those who were sacrificed, forever trapped, forever listening, but no one knows for sure. What is certain, however, is that the Whispering Oak is not just a tree. It is a sentinel of the dead, a keeper of souls who made the ultimate mistake, coming too close, hearing the call and failing to leave.